Ahead on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
On this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, how proper mineral nutrition can impact your operation. We'll learn from both producers and experts from Purina. NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman starts right now.
And now, NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. This week, we're sitting down with several producers and nutrition experts to learn how proper mineral nutrition can make a positive difference in your herd. And joining me in the studio are Rod Newlick, Director of Production Livestock Marketing with Land O'Lakes Purina Feeds, Dr. Ron Scott, Director of Beef Cattle Research, also with Land O'Lakes Purina. Ben Rogers comes to us from Meeker, Colorado, and is a cow-calf producer there. And J.D. Sexton, Land O'Lakes Purina dealer from Craig, Colorado, with MJK Sales. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Well, I want to get right to it. And Ben, let's start with you as a producer yourself. As you think about selecting a nutritional provider, I'd just be interested to know what are the qualities and characteristics you're looking for in a good nutritional supplier?
Well, Kevin, I'm looking for a provider who can serve my needs in a way that I know I'm going to get the best economic benefits out of the mineral. A well-proven company, like as for instance Purina, has a very good track record, and so we look for those kind of things and do a little research at home. And then we found, not far from Meeker and Craig, we could find a Purina dealer that would work with us there.
Very good. And tell me a little bit more about how Purina has met some of those needs and addressed some of those characteristics that you look for.
Well, we have in our area, a good mineral program is something that we need for sure. And when I visited with our Purina reps, we talked about mineral, and one of our major concerns in our area is copper deficiency. And in a case where a lot of times in the summer we have a hard time getting mineral to them, we really need to fortify those cattle in the winter months to get that mineral in them. And so we visited with them, found some good products to try, and they've really worked well for us.
You know, there's a lot of research that goes into nutritional products for livestock. Why is that important from a producer standpoint?
Well, it's key. For instance, for economic reasons, we need to do the best job we can as far as trying to get our cattle healthy from start to finish. And if we do our job, then our cattle are they seem to do better as far as breed up. Health is major in our area as far as in the spring. We have a lot of wet storms come through. Mm-hmm. And if we put those cattle on a good mineral program through the cow, and then we can see it through calving and then in through the fall. And when we send those calves out, I know that our buyer is going to get a product that he can just keep on going down the road with.
Well, I want to put you on the spot a minute and ask you about the results you've seen specifically with Purina products. Tell us a little bit about your experience.
We've started with the Avela 4 product, the Avela 4 tubs. We feed the Avela 4 tubs to our cows, and we run on a public lands environment. So in the summer, it's really hard to get the tubs out to the cattle. So as we bring those cattle back in the fall, we'll get them on a good loose mineral program. We feed the complete 10 product, and then as we move into the winter, we'll supplement with some protein, some 3013 rangeland tubs, and then as we move about 45 days out from calving, we'll go ahead and start the Avela 4 tubs. And then as we move into calving, we'll still provide the Avela 4 tubs. As we start having calves reach about 2-3 weeks old, we like to get out a lot of loose mineral, and we use the complete 7.5 wind and rain product with CTC Tasco in it. And then we really notice that those calves will go to lick in that mineral as well. It seems like just a total package for us.
That's outstanding. J.D., you're a dealer for Purina, and I'd just be interested to know what caused you to want to become a dealer in the first place.
Well, I had the opportunity to get involved with the cattle industry in my region and get involved with producers that we deal with on an everyday basis, and able to help them with maybe some nutritional things that they might deal with. You know, we all know that in this business we're trying to make money, and you know, if we can help them save $1 and extend some available resources that they have to make their ranches more profitable and more productive, had that opportunity to do that, and look forward to that opportunity. So
that's outstanding. You know, your perspective as a dealer gives you a unique look inside the company, and I'd just be interested to know, what does it mean to work for a company that is so dedicated to research like Purina?
I think the research that Purina does with their feed products is huge. The biggest thing for me is trust, that when I'm out selling a product to a producer like Ben, when I talk to Ben and tell him that this product is going to perform like this, I know it's going to, because I have that backing that Purina's done with the research facility in St. Louis, and all the time and the commitment that they put into their products. So that's huge. It also allows us to kind of have a niche in our region, in our market, because we do have that backing and that research with the feed, and really sets us apart with our producers, because they also know that they're getting a great technology and a great resource through Purina Feed.
JD, can you give us some specific examples of how Purina has really made a difference in your market over in Western Colorado?
I would say that the biggest thing that Purina does, you know, with the brand, it's allowed producers like Ben to have products that are going to make their operations more efficient and more productive. It's allowed us to get different types of feed things that were, you know, typically maybe a lot of guys across the country don't have that opportunity to have. You know, also with the ability that Purina allows ourselves as dealers to get involved with their research facility in St. Louis, to better educate ourselves, so that it allows us to better educate our producers. And that's huge, you know. I mean, those guys have a lot of questions, and if we're able to answer those questions, it really does help. You know, they get confident with things. So.
And I have some more questions for you all yet today, but this is a great start to our conversation. We'll be right back to continue this great discussion with more on Purina's research and management solutions, plus a look at a new Purina product that makes a difference you can see. Stay with us.
No storm is too powerful for new Purina Wind and Rain Storm Minerals, formulated with ultimate weather resistance. That means more minerals in the feeder and available to your cattle. Wind and Rain Storm Minerals provide more consistent intake and balanced mineral nutrition to optimize herd health and breedback rates. See the difference at your local Purina dealer or visit cattlenutrition.com. Wind and Rain Storm Minerals, another way Purina is building better cattle.
It's deer season, and if you're hunting for savings, you don't have to look any farther than your John Deere dealer. Pile up big bonus cash or special financing on our high-quality lineup of hay tools, from mower conditioners to balers. Or if you have a utility tractor in your sights, take advantage of some of the best deals ever on the rugged 5 Series and 6 Series. Deer season won't last forever, so make tracks for your Deere dealer now and bag big savings.
They're out there, lurking on your pasture, just waiting to infect your cattle as they graze. Cattle worms cost you money, but a Safeguard strategic deworming program allows you to deworm your cattle and lower worm burdens on your pasture, resulting in improved pregnancy rates and heavier calf weights. Plus, there's a Safeguard form for every operation. So start killing parasites where they lurk. Talk to your animal health provider today about a Safeguard strategic dewormer program. Safeguard. Think strategically. Act decisively.
I am an NCBA member.
I am an NCBA member because NCBA provides me with the eyes and the ears, and most importantly, a voice on issues that affect me and my operation every day across the country.
I am an NCBA member.
I am an NCBA member because beef producers feed the world.
I am an NCBA member.
I am an NCBA member.
Join me today.
Welcome back to this special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. We're talking about the importance of investing in a good nutritional program for your cattle with cattle producers and several experts from Purina. Let's get back to our discussion. Dr. Scott, I want to begin with you. You all bring dozens of new products to the market. I'm interested to know, how do you determine where to spend your R&D dollars?
Well, that's a great question and something that's a big focus of ours. And the reason why I say that is that we have to research and figure out when we're going to launch the next product. So we have a pipeline that we work with. And for us, research basically is innovative product development. So we have to have innovation or ideas, and where do they come from? Well, a lot of our ideas come from the problems and challenges that cattlemen have. So we get ideas from producers like Ben and dealers like JD, and we try to solve those problems. And there are different problems all across the U.S. because of the different management styles that are out there. And so it's our job to figure out how can we solve these issues that are there with the programs that we have. And other ideas that we have come from our sales force. They're very knowledgeable. And also our technical folks, people like Ted Perry, who was on Monday Night Live last night, and our other research team members, and our consultants in the field. And from a scientific standpoint, that's where a lot of our ideas come from, is from our internal scientific staff. And then the other thing that we've added to it is professional market research, which has really helped.
And Rod, you do a lot of that market research in your department.
Well, that's correct. Yeah, we really want to make sure that we have our finger on the pulse of the producer out there, because that's where it all starts. I mean, it's got to start with that producer and what the issues that they're facing, because we know that they have to remain profitable for Dr. Scott and I to have a job. And we also take advantage of one of the marketing tools that we have. You know, from an education standpoint, we'll have about 5 different events a year back at the research farm where we invite dealers and producers to come back and see what we're doing, learn some stuff about how they can manage their herds better. And we take advantage of that from the standpoint of, you know, we'll have a couple hundred cattlemen in there from 25 to 30 states. So as a marketing guy, I'm like quizzing them all the time about, you know, what are some of your needs? What's important to you? And we've really discovered some really important needs that they had that wound up being part of the product development just from having those folks in there.
And Ben, you were saying earlier that you actually participated in one of those producer tours of Gray Summit. Tell us your perspective.
Yes, Kevin. Last year in January, we participated in one of the visits at Gray Summit, and it was an incredible visit, and I would encourage any producer that can get to Gray Summit to go to Gray Summit, because that's really when you can see what happens on the ground. You get to see the research, the science, and you can see the passion that the Purina people are putting into their product. They really do a good job. Also, I think the fact that the longevity of the people that work at Gray Summit, they've been there for a long time, it's very important to them. And that's important to me as someone who wants to purchase their product. That gave me a lot of confidence in their product, and it was a wonderful visit that we had there at Gray Summit.
Dr. Scott, so we've identified a need, be it through formal market research or an idea one of your staff members has. Tell me now about the research process itself.
Well, we have different stages that we go through, and the first stage is more or less a pass-fail. We stir something up based on what we're trying to solve, obviously, and put it in front of cattle. If they don't eat it, we're dead, because palatability and intake is the most critical thing. And really, if you look at digestion, you know, we're talking about ruminants. You always think, well, the ruminant's the most important thing, but it may be that the mouth is the most important thing, because if they don't eat it, it's not going to go to the rumen. So a lot of that work goes into the behind-the-scenes stuff before we ever get out there. So the first step that we have is put it in front of the cattle and see if they eat it. If that works, then we have a full-blown study where it's more or less what we call feed them and weigh them. find out what kind of conversions we get and added gain and those sorts of things. And then we'll have to do that a few times to get the right balance of nutrients in the entire diet and repeat it and make sure that it's repeatable, because if it's not, then we don't have anything to market, because we don't know what to tell a customer what to expect. So if it looks good, then we'll go out and do some field testing with ranchers or feed yards, and we'll pool that information. And in some cases, if it's not working the way it did back home, we have to take it back home and fix it and then go back out. And sometimes we have to kill a product because it didn't work. So if it gets through that process, then we've got the opportunity to go ahead and market it. Sometimes we'll do a local market in an area to get our hands around a new product, because some of the things that we invent are so unique that internally we still have to learn how to market those, position them, get our management straightened out. And that's all part of the field testing, but also an area market test is good for us too. In other cases, then we'll have a national launch to go along with it. So there's a whole process that we go through, and there's a pass-fail all throughout it. But the bottom line is that when we're done, we can go out and give our dealers, our sales force, something that is reliable, that they can say, hey, this is how it's going to perform.
I know you've invested heavily in your research department at Purina. Tell us about some of the unique capabilities. What sets you apart from other companies relative to your research capabilities?
Yeah. Well, the first thing we have is our people.
Yeah.
And so we have employees out there that have worked a long time. They understand the importance of dotting every I and crossing every T, because in research there's no room for error. And we've got specific facilities that other places don't have. So for example, we have a metabolism unit that we call the large animal metabolism unit, and there we can look at site and extent of digestion. We can do in vitro studies, which is test tube studies. So you take rumen fluid from a cow and then incubate different feeds in a test tube with the rumen fluid and then check digestion that way. We can also take what are called Dacron bags and put samples in a Dacron bag, incubate those in a rumen, and also look at digestion. So little things like that allow us to learn a lot about what's going on in the rumen so that we can understand where we might be missing some nutrients and maybe more importantly, how our products perform. So that's a unique capability for us, and it really helps us to cut out some of the field testing because we know what's going on inside the cattle.
Sure.
And I like to tell people that if it's a lot like weaning weight, you can't change weaning weight unless you know what it is to begin with. Well, it's the same way with digestion and nutrient requirements. We can't change them unless we know where those nutrients are being digested. So that really gives us a nice edge.
Well, tell us about some of the key discoveries you've made through the Gray Summit.
Well, probably the most interesting one that people find interesting is our work around intake. And there's two areas of intake. One is palatability, and I think another one might be called anti-palatability. And so with palatability, we know it's so important that animals, particularly in this case cattle, need to eat what you put in front of them. When you look at anti-palatability, you think, oh, that's the worst thing in the world. But from that, we've been able to develop what we call intake modifiers, which modify how cattle approach a bunk or a self-feeder. And in so doing, we've made cattle more efficient. And it's a really neat project, and on the human side, we've caught on to it. And the reason why I say that is that, you know, a lot of the nutritionists, human dietitians, have shown that there's a big benefit of people being able to eat throughout the day so that you don't have these cravings at your big meals. So it keeps your blood glucose levels more consistent. So what we've been doing for many years is we've developed snack eating in cattle through what we call our intake modifying technology. So the cattle eat a little bit, walk away, and come back and we'll eat later. And so that allows for a more consistent digestion in the rumen, and we found it makes it more efficient.
Give me some examples of maybe some products that you've introduced over the last couple of years as a result of your research.
Yeah, well, a good tie into that would be our Wind and Rain mineral. 2 years ago, we launched an improved formulation that improved the consistency of how cows eat mineral. And so we learned this through palatability. We knew our ranchers always had concerns, are my cows eating the right amount of mineral? Does every cow eat the same amount of mineral? And so we headed down that road to find that out. And as you might guess, not every cow eats the same amount of mineral. So what we were able to do is to modify our formulation, and we found out that we've got, if you separate cow consumption of mineral into three areas, you got those that are eating at the target, you got some that are eating more than the target, and then you got some that aren't eating a whole lot at all. What we were able to do was increase those low intake consumers to get them closer to the target. So when we did that, we'd think, well, does that mean the higher consumers are going to over-consume? But they didn't. They just ate a little bit more. So we were able to reduce the variation on consumption of mineral. Then we scaled up into the pasture situation and found out that weekly consumption from within a pasture, there was less variation or more consistent consumption with our new formulation. So we launched that 2 years ago. Another product for starting cattle was Precon 5. And the neat thing about Precon 5 that we found is that, all these years we have been doing a lot of work on intake modifiers. Well, we've also found things that improve palatability. And so that's what we worked with Precon 5. And we balanced Precon 5 so that we could increase the intake and digestion of forage, get some missing nutrients for starting cattle, some things like Avela 4 in there for the right trace mineral balance. We added some Diamond V yeast in there to help fermentation. And that whole combination we put together, we compared it to preconditioning receiving chow, which was launched back in 1968. And a lot of people know about it. The key thing on it is cattle love to eat it. Well, our comparison showed that cattle like Precon 5 more than preconditioning receiving chow.
Wow.
So it's very palatable. We compared it to commodities, which a lot of folks who want to feed around 5 pounds will feed 5 pounds of commodities. And it did very well. And the cattle gained 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds more a day on Precon 5. And that all is because of the right balance of nutrients, and they eat more forage and get more digestion out of the grass.
That's outstanding. JD, you were saying earlier that you've actually had some customers try Precon 5. Tell us your experience.
Absolutely. For our producers, it's a crucial time, weaning calves, and a scary time at the same time. To them calves are going out on their own, and it's definitely a product. Cattle eat it, and they love it, and do very well on it. It's been huge for us and our producers. To give them cattle that extra boost to be more successful when they get to that starter ration at the feedlot, to help keep them healthy and react to maybe some of the drug programs that we are going to start those cattle off on. And it's an easy product. It's a really easy product for producers to feed, 5 pounds per head per day. And, so if it's not difficult for the producer and it's not difficult for the calf, it's a successful product, really is.
Ben, have you had some personal experience with that as well?
Yes, I have, Kevin. With my confidence in the mineral nutrition side with Purina, I went ahead and we tried the Precon 5 this fall, and we usually will take 20 to 25 bull calves that we develop for ourselves and some neighbors around the area, and we started them on the Precon 5. And as JD said, that is a critical time. When as we wean, we're trying to keep sickness away, and the cattle did really well. Those bull calves, they just took off. They never missed a beat. And as we transferred them into a finishing lot, or a grow or development lot away from the ranch, they never missed a beat. They just kept on gaining. So we were very happy with the product, Precon 5.
That's outstanding. Purina's dedication to excellent research is a visible component in its products. Here are what producers from around the country are saying.
Increased weaning weights, increased conception. The cattle hold their condition a lot better all throughout the whole year. And it's a very predictable product. We know how much the cattle will eat and what it takes for them to gain a pound, and My Purina dealer comes out with a truck and a tank and fills them up for me, and keeps tabs on when they need to be refilled, and documents everything. And we know in every pasture what the consumption rate is, and it's really been profitable for us. The cattle, eat no more than they have to, and eat only when they have to. So it's been a real good product for us.
All the testing, all the research that's involved on Purina's part, and everything that they do to provide the best quality of feed for the cattlemen. We felt that with all the research that they put into the product, that they knew exactly what the cattle needed and what it would do, and it has proven to do that. It provides optimum nutrition, ease of delivery. The cattle like the product. We don't ever have them go off feed. With the research that Purina puts into the product, we see it in our cattle. It does make a difference that we can see day in and day out.
We're going to talk about one of the most recent results of new product development from the Purina Research Farm, the new Wind and Rain Storm Mineral. Dr. Scott, tell us a little bit about how you've used this research process to develop this new exciting product.
Well, the interesting thing about this technology is it's something that we came up with ourselves, with our friends from what we call process research. So we have some engineers, grain scientist type guys with manufacturing type degrees who take our ideas and try to get those out of the plant into a truck and into cattle. So we use their help in this, along with our nutrition background, to try to solve a concern, and that is, how can we reduce the waste that you have when you have a bagged mineral out there. So Storm is our improved version of Wind and Rain mineral, and it's more resistant to the elements. And so we worked on it. The neat thing is we were able to come out with it quicker than we had anticipated, because the things that we tried were so remarkably evident. We like to say it was a difference that you can see. It was just obvious, and so we pursued it very, very rapidly. And in so doing, what we did, we checked it at Gray Summit to make sure that we had the improvement in how it would resist weather. The other thing is the cows have to eat it, and they have to eat it consistently. So we had no difference compared to how we were with our improved, more consistent consumption of Wind and Rain mineral. So that was a good thing. And then the next phase that we have is field testing. And so we went out and we field tested it in 10 different states with 25 different ranchers and ranches and farms. And we found out that they loved it, and they said, well, there's a difference you can see. And so we pulled all that information together, and it looked great. And then the other aspect of it is, there's always a question, if it resists water, is it going to resist digestion? So because of the large animal metabolism unit, where we can look at the mineral in the rumen and look at site and extent of digestion, and can do some things at the small intestine level in the rumen, we have no concerns about that. So it's very digestible. So we went ahead and have launched it.
That's outstanding. Now, Rod, you mentioned earlier that you get to talk directly with a lot of producers. What are they telling you about the product?
They're really excited about it. Like Dr. Scott said, when we went out on that field test, the biggest question was that we got back is, when can I get this stuff? When is it going to be available? And that was a challenge for us, because it does, our process research guys put some things together, and so we have to make some modifications at our plants and some of those kinds of things. So it's taking a little bit longer to roll it out. But I really think that they're excited about it, because I think they get it now. And what I mean by that is, I think it was sometime after the turn of the century, which kind of sounds like Grandpa talking back at the turn of the century. But,
2000.
Yeah, way back in 2000. But shortly after that, I saw a NOM study that said that probably about 35% of the herds out there don't get a good balanced nutrition program. And I think we're changing that. I think they get it now. I think the producers understand that mineral nutrition is key, to those really important economic factors. You know, it really supports things like better reproduction, better herd health. So they know they have to have something out there. I mean, they understand that it's got to get in the cow, and they need to have those benefits because, particularly with today's markets, I mean, if you can get more calves, you know, born earlier in the season that are healthier, you know, there's a big payoff at the end of that.
Well, I was going to say, so what you're really talking about is finding a way to get a greater return on the nutritional investment that we all make. Is that right?
Exactly. You know, so as they look at a product, some of the things that Dr. Scott talked about, you know, it's got to be palatable. We've got to make sure that they eat it. They need to eat it about the amount that they need to, you know, and they've done a great job on the consistent intake. That really surprised a lot of us when they narrowed up that gap. But they maintained that, and then they reduced the waste by, you know, having it more resistant to water. So it's more likely that more of their mineral investment will go through that cow so they get those benefits that they're talking about. It's not blown out of the feeder. It's not spoiled. It's not refused by some of the cattle. So, yeah, it's getting the most out of their mineral investment.
It sounds like an exciting product. Up next, we'll put Wind and Rain Storm to work. Stay with us.
Well, I think a rancher has to be a steward of the land. There's nobody else that can take care of land better than a rancher. When we switched over to the Purina products, it was a step in the right direction.
The difference we see in the cattle is the consistency of their nutrition.
The cattle hold their condition a lot better throughout the whole year.
It does make a difference that we can see, day in and day out.
These days, more cattlemen choose Draxxin to fight BRD than any other brand. Here's why.
It works. We have fewer repulls, and the ones that we do repull respond, and we have fewer chronics in the end.
To retreat anything it's a lot more expensive than using Draxxin as a first time.
And the evidence backs up what most cattlemen already know. Draxxin cuts retreats by 50%. So talk to your veterinarian and check the online calculator at Draxxin.com. You'll see why Draxxin should be your first choice to fight BRD.
Basically what it's allowed us to do with our operation is run more cattle through in a given period of time. It's just really been a good product to use.
Do not use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older. Do not use in calves to be processed for veal. Draxxin has a pre-slaughter withdrawal time of 18 days. Please visit Draxxin.com or call 1-888-DRAXXIN for more information.
Grow more low-cost forage and improve grazing access by clearing out weeds and brush with these Dow AgroSciences herbicides. See your Dow AgroSciences representative or visit rangeandpasture.com.
Welcome back. So it's a good product, but does it really work? Rod Nulick and I are here in the studio, and we're going to put Wind and Rain Storm Mineral to the test, right, Rod?
You bet.
You know, as a cow-calf producer, I don't mind spending money on mineral as long as it gets in the cow.
Exactly.
And the one thing that I hate is having to clean out a mineral feeder with all this caked up mineral in there that's just a waste of money, actually.
Yeah, and Kevin, you're like all the rest of our cow-calf producers out there. They don't mind investing in a good mineral program, but they want to make sure that it does some good. And to do some good, it's got to get in the cow. So if it gets spoiled in the feeder and she won't eat it, they've just wasted that money. And the neat thing about Wind and Rain Storm Mineral is kind of like one of those cooking shows. You know, we can illustrate or demonstrate exactly how it kind of works in real life situations. So we're going to make it rain in here.
Perfect.
On 2 different mineral samples. So like a cooking show, let me tell you a little bit about what I've got going on.
Sure. Yeah.
I've got equal amounts of a conventional what we would call a fine textured meal mineral. A very good mineral, actually. I mean, nutritionally, it's very sound and it's very balanced. The same balance of nutrients are in the Wind and Rain Storm. The only difference is we've got the weather-resistant technology in the Wind and Rain Storm. So what I'm going to do is make it rain now on both of these.
The thunder clouds
you can hear it
brewing.
coming, can't you?
I can hear it. We need a little rain.
So I'm going to put equal amounts of water into each of these samples.
Okay.
Make it rain on there, and see how it responds to that as we go down the line. So this is a pretty good shower, actually.
Nice little shower. That's good. The grass is going to grow now.
Exactly.
And you've poked some holes in the bottom of that to watch so that we can determine
let the water run through.
How that water's running through.
And I've got a line on the bottom of the cup to show how much water I put in each of those. Okay. And that's how much water I'm putting in there. So we can see how much water is retained by the different mineral samples. So we'll make it rain on the wind and rain storm.
Okay.
Same kind of a wind rain storm.
Yeah.
And see if we can kind of see a little bit of difference going through there.
Yeah, there's some.
Now what we hope is going to happen.
Water percolating,
is that the water is going to run through the two different samples.
Yep.
And you can see that it's coming through the wind and rain now.
Yeah.
But like a cooking show where they have the magic thing, where they mix it all up
and
they stick it in the oven.
Before and after, don't we?
And then they put it in the oven, and we'll move this over.
Slide that over, and I'll ease this over without spilling it. But we did this just a little before the show here.
Just a few minutes ago, we started on this thing, and so we did the same thing, same quantities of mineral, same quantities of water. And you can see that looking at the conventional mineral, the water doesn't quite come up to the top, to the line, so it retains some of the water in there. You can see on the wind and rain storm mineral that most of that water came through. It's almost right up to the line. That's only part of the story, though.
Here's the real test. I want to see that dumped out.
Now what happens when it sets in the feeder for a while? What happens to that conventional mineral? Even though a lot of it came through.
I've been there before.
You've seen this.
I have
seen
that.
Like it.
Yeah, and
it kind of looks a little bit like that, I guess.
Yes.
Now, when that dries out into a clump, do the cows like to eat that?
No, they don't. That's on the ground right now. Yep.
So, okay, here's the big test.
Okay.
What happens with wind and rain storm mineral?
Interesting.
You can see that it
just like the day you
pours
put it in.
right out. Now, there's some water on some of the product, but we find that dries out. The cows bump it with their nose, and it breaks up, and it maintains its palatability. So that's kind of the demonstration. That's the difference between a conventional mineral, where we have some waste, and new wind and rain storm, where we get more of the mineral through the cow.
Well, you've made a believer out of me. That's quite impressive.
Thanks.
To learn more about wind and rain storm mineral, visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. We'll be right back.
You're not responsible for the weather, just the cattle. And Rangeland works as hard as you do to deliver performance, production, and profitability. Cattle need consistent nutrition. They'll get it year-round with Rangeland products from Land O'Lakes. Deliver what they need free choice in weather-resistant loose minerals and mineral and protein tubs. Get the most out of your forage. See your Land O'Lakes Co-op for products that will stand up to whatever Mother Nature throws at us. Weather's coming in. Rangeland. Consider it done.
Hi there, I'm Joey.
And I'm Rory, and welcome to our farm outside Nashville, Tennessee. When we go to work, whether it's on tour or here at home, we wear the West.
That's right. Whether it's that perfect snap shirt or that perfect pair of boots. When you wear Roper, you wear the West.
Learn more about us, Joey and Rory, and about Roper Western Wear at eroper.com.
Telling the truth and being real and feeding my family a home-cooked meal. That's important to me. That's important to me. And planting the garden and watching it grow.
It's the official monthly publication of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. The National Cattleman is produced exclusively for NCBA members and includes coverage of the news and events affecting our industry. From Capitol Hill to the far side of cattle country, the National Cattleman provides information NCBA members need. Every issue includes market analysis, feature stories, and practical management tips. Start receiving your copy of The National Cattleman. Call 866-USA-BEEF or go online to beefusa.org and join today.
Welcome back. Let's continue our discussion with our industry experts. JD, I want to start with you. Let's talk some more about this wind and rain storm product that you have. Do you see a fit for your market there in western Colorado?
Oh, you bet, Kevin. You know, we deal with a lot of extremes in northwestern Colorado, with particularly in the winter, with the amount of snow that we get and the extreme winds that we do deal with. And you know, anytime that we can help a producer get a mineral into the cattle and ensure him that the investment that he's making is getting into his cattle and working. A huge spot for us, you know. I think that if we can guarantee that consumption level with them cattle to ensure herd health and reproductive performance is really going to be huge for us.
Ben, hearing what you've heard and seeing what you've seen, do these benefits make sense to you as a producer?
Well, most definitely, Kevin. They make a lot of sense as far as our bottom line. If we can get the most mineral for our buck, I mean, we're fans of that. And definitely the product, the way, you know, looking at the, as far as consumption, if we can monitor that consumption and level that out, that would be great and beneficial to us.
Producers across the country can also see the value in a good mineral supplement. Here's what a few of them have to say.
I don't feed my mineral open. I have it in a feeder that's got covers on it. But from that standpoint, there was one feeder over on the back that I had that was a little open, and those cattle went ahead and ate that after rains and everything. There was no problem. It didn't set up. It stayed very pliable, and it was very, you know, very easy to consume.
We've tried all types of different minerals, and we've just this spring started using the Purina tub. We started out with those tubs back in about March, and actually has had the best conception rate ever on our cow herd.
And the final numbers are astounding.
Before we started using that tub, we were lucky to get 85%. My manager, Timmy Luchek, told me that we were up to 95% pregnancy rate, so that's great.
A higher pregnancy rate now means higher profits later on.
If you just figure what we were getting, say 10% less, you know, on 500 head, you know, you're talking about 50 calves. Our registered calves, normally we average about 2,000 a piece, so that's $100,000.
Not only is the reproduction rate higher, but the correct amount of minerals in a cow's diet can also lead to healthier calves.
On my little operation, it seemed like, you know, before if I'd put out a bag of mineral, it might last 2 weeks, it might last a week. There's really what you call no consistency. With this new mineral putting out every week for no more cows than I got, I don't know how that broke down as far as ounces, 4 to 5 ounces per head or whatever, but every week that would just be consistent right across the board. I'm not going to say Purina is the only mineral. I'm not going to say they're the best mineral. But for my operation, it flat works, and so I would advise it for anyone.
Purina's Wind and Rain Storm Mineral is at the cutting edge of mineral supplements. Dr. Scott, what do you see as the next step for Purina research?
Well, we've been working on for a few years now a program that we call Sustained Nutrition. And it's a program, not a product. We fit products into it. And it involves fetal programming. And fetal programming, for the viewers that aren't familiar with it, fetal programming refers to how we provide nutrition to the fetus during gestation. And there's a lot of data on humans and livestock, and it's very evident that undernutrition during gestation imprints poor performance in cattle. The opposite is if you can provide optimal nutrition during gestation, then you are imprinting a very good chance for better performance for the cattle. And then there's some stuff called epigenetics, which is on top of that, which you can pass those genes on to the offspring. But it's not how the genes themselves aren't changing, it's how the genes are expressed. So you're allowing for the cattle to express their full potential, basically. So it's a neat concept. It kind of came from the human side. So we've had some products out there that actually influence fetal programming, and with what we've seen is producers have told us with tremendous results on weaning weights, conception rates, and those things. So we're focused on that, and we've got some products that we're trying to fit into sustained nutrition. Then the other thing is on the feedlot side. What we're looking at is 2 different methods to improve the average daily gain of cattle. And you know what cattle are worth today, so anything that we can do to improve outweight will really pay big dividends for the industry.
Well, we'll look forward to hearing more about those in future shows. We'll be right back with some final thoughts from our panelists. Stay with us.
No storm is too powerful for new Purina Wind and Rain Storm Minerals, formulated with ultimate weather resistance. That means more minerals in the feeder and available to your cattle. Wind and Rain Storm Minerals provide more consistent intake and balanced mineral nutrition to optimize herd health and breedback rates. See the difference at your local Purina dealer or visit cattlenutrition.com. Wind and Rain Storm Minerals, another way Purina is building better cattle.
I'm Kevin Oxner, host of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Check us out at cattlemantocattleman.org or on Facebook and Twitter.
Preventing cattle pink eye is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Vaccinate your animals with Piligard Pink Eye Tri-View to provide pink eye fighting antibodies in the tears that bathe the eye. Broad spectrum protection that cross-reacts with 103 different strains of pink eye causing bacteria. 2. Stop the flies that spread pink eye bacteria throughout the herd. Apply double barrel VP ear tags and Ultra Boss Poron for up to 5 months of face fly and horn fly control. 3. Manage the environment to reduce damage to the animal's eye from seed heads, pollen, and UV light, irritants that increase the risk of pink eye infection. With the right tools, preventing pink eye is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Quality matters to me because I'm responsible for managing the natural resources under my care, providing clean water and healthy feed, and creating an environment that fosters new life. I care for mother cows and newborn calves, nurturing them through the beginning of the life cycle. The entire beef industry is relying on me to provide a quality product they can work with. This is the beginning of the American beef industry. I am proud of what we'll do here today.
We know who made that hitch. We know who cut the steel, who milled the ball, and who welded the seams. We know who tested, measured, and checked. We even know who thought the whole thing up. We're B&W, and we know your hitch. Because we don't make them halfway around the world. We make them all right here. B&W. Trusted.
A man came up to me at the Intertribal Ag Council in Tulsa. Most Native Americans I know are cowboys. They're livestock people. They run cattle and sheep. They like good horses and love rodeo. Well, he was a cattle foreman on one of those big reservations out west, and he told me this story, and I made a poem from it. Gerald Two Bears was the foreman of the tribal branding crew. Lots of Indians who were cowboys came to do what they could do. Billy Strike was good at roping, and his medicine was strong, and he roped them automatic. Till misfortune came along, 'cause he roped a good-sized heifer calf, but he roped her around the neck. She ran behind his horse's butt and put 'em both in check. The rope slid underneath his tail, which spooked the pony some, so of course he went to pitching, 'cause that nylon chafed his bum. Now like I said, that Billy's tough and wouldn't quit his dally. That rope was holding him down tight, made every peak and valley. His horse was snorting up the dirt like he was sweeping mines and kicking himself sideways like a spring when it unwinds. Billy blew his left-hand stirrup, so he leaned against the tide, but his saddle got some cockeyed, slipping off the other side. His dally peeled off the horn. His hanker chain had broke. Billy flew like Humpty Dumpty and came down and broke his yoke. Gerald Two Bears ran to Billy, who lay still upon the ground. He said, "Billy, are you all right?" Billy never made a sound. He listened for his breathing, but he lay so awfully still. He said, "Billy, can you hear me?" Then, with superhuman will, Billy's eyelid raised, his eyeball turned and swiveled toward the source. Gerald leaned up close and whispered, "Billy, can I have your horse?" This is Baxter Black from out there.
Welcome back. We're wrapping up our discussion about bringing new nutritional and management solutions to the cattle industry. JD, I'll start with you. What are some final thoughts?
I'd say some final thoughts are, it's an exciting time in the cattle business. And for those that are interested in Purina Feeds, I would say to really utilize your dealers, your local dealers that you have in your region, to answer questions and ask those questions to, and find out about products that might work really well in their environment and their situation with their operations.
Ben, how would you wrap up this discussion?
Well, I think, Kevin, we need to make sure that we utilize our the mineral nutrition that we have today with what Purina's done for us. The science that went into it. It's a great product, and it works, and for our bottom line, it works, and it's made us a lot more efficient.
Outstanding. Dr. Scott, what would you add?
Well, in research, we're all about building better cattle. And so our job is to bridge the gap between science and reality at the ranch. So with that in mind, we thank everyone who has used our products, and if you haven't, we'd ask you to give us a try.
Rod?
Kevin, I think I'd probably wrap it up with commitment, maybe as one word. At Land O'Lakes Purina Feed, and we're committed to our customer, and that means that we're committed to the industry, to have that right environment. So we do things like the Cattleman program, and help with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. And that helps us to be committed to research with Dr. Scott to make sure that we're bringing those products that help those producers and their profit potential. So I guess I'd wrap it up with commitment.
And we appreciate your commitment and continued support, not only of this show, but of the industry at large. I mean that. Thank you, gentlemen, for what's been a wonderful, wonderful discussion. I appreciate your insight. Now, for more information on Purina's products, including Wind and Rain Storm, visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org and click on Land O'Lakes Purina Feed. Well, that's it for this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. We'll see you right back here next week on RFD TV.